Welcome to Fated to Fabulous, the podcast for women who know that midlife is not the end. It's the beginning of something bold. I'm Kim Lovely, and I'm here with Vicki Kirby. We're here to talk to you about health, hormones, confidence, and joy. Midlife isn't about fading away. It's about stepping into your power and shining brighter than ever. Let's get into it. Hi, ladies. Welcome back to Fated to Fabulous, the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something super interesting. And my first question to you, Vicki, is, what the heck? Lotions, potions, and
Pellets.
Oh my. How'd you come up with that?
I have more fun just coming up with these titles. But honestly, I feel like that's all I see, right? It's all you see. So I've said the word menopause, obviously a lot in front of my phone. So now everything that comes up on my feed is about menopause. And I think that I'm not alone in that. I think if you've ever Googled anything, that's what comes up.
Yep.
And I think that we're privy to seeing women in our practices all the time who have, in a way, sort of fallen victim to the grift of this.
Yeah. So how did we get here? Like, what happened?
So the reason you cannot open social media without hearing about menopause is because it took off 2 years ago, right? So we had, prominent physicians coming out talking about menopause. And then we had the boredom of pandemic and a bunch of Gen Xers getting on TikTok, and it took off. So people started going, wait a minute, what are you talking about? The WHI? We don't need to be scared of hormones? Women started getting excited, and then everybody's talking about menopause. And at the same time, we're in a system, like we've talked about, where we haven't learned anything in medicine for about 20 years about menopause. So we have very few providers who are able to actually give good FDA-approved, evidence-based menopause care. So what comes out? We have desperation. These women are like, I want help. A medical system that's like, we don't know about that. And you're going to have the people that come out of the woodwork to promise to help. Yeah, right? That's where we are.
Yeah, I heard that 1/3 of the population, right, is in this space. That's a big market.
Mm-hmm. A huge market.
Yeah. And a vulnerable market. What's a grifter? I love that term. What's a grifter?
I think, and not everybody who's in the space of trying to sell something or support women is a grifter, but there are a lot of people out there that are basically kind of swindling people out of money with false claims.
Okay. So tell me about what would be some red flags?
Yeah, I think it's tough to sift through what is an accurate claim, what is a good program, what is something I probably should avoid. And I think that there's a lot of things to think about when you're trying to decide, like, what do you look at, Kim, to decide if something would maybe be beneficial without being inaccurate information?
Yeah. Truth be told, I look at most things because I'm looking at what other women are being presented with. Right. I'm a little skeptical, and especially when I see something that clearly there's a marketing product sales agenda, that it's not necessarily a health benefit as their payment, right?
Well, there's a lot of those, right? We were talking earlier about the articles that you read and you're like, oh, this looks really good. And then the answer at the bottom is a link to sell you a product.
Yeah.
That makes me crazy.
It does. So I guess I look at it that way. Like, is the purpose or the agenda of that social media bite a product sales, or is it generally to improve the health of someone? Because that would lead me to be skeptical about something. Yeah. The other thing I think we were talking about today too was I did some looking beforehand, and the same product was advertised for multiple different purposes. So menopause solutions, sleep resolution, better production at work because your brain was less foggy. So too many promises.
Oh, promises. Right. Everything. Well, on that vein, so I always talk about like red flags to look for and things that you want to kind of avoid. Anything that promises you that it's going to fix your menopause.
Yeah.
Like you need to really reevaluate that. So anything claiming to fix menopause, you want to be wary of.
You know, it's interesting. I just had this thought. It's very similar to the weight loss industry that I have been dealing with
1,000%.
my whole life, right?
Yes.
How many people have been on certain programs, and when I'll ask them, so what's the plan for when you're done, when this diet is over, what do they tell you is the plan? And if they tell me, oh, I'm all done, I don't have to worry about my weight ever again, I'm like,
Ding, ding, ding. That's not good.
That would be really nice. And if that were the case, we wouldn't have this incredible industry.
Well, one of the things you were saying earlier, too, is that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is.
Yeah.
And honestly, like we talked before, of course, we're grasping, right? I mean, I have too. I've seen this thing where, get rid of your, what do they call it? A menopod or meno apron or whatever the hell it is. Meno apron. I love that one, right?
Like I always say, there is not a probiotic on the planet that is going to make menopause easier for you. It's just not a thing. Can a probiotic be a good part of like your
digestive
regimen?
health?
Oh, sure. But,
yeah.
It's sad because then women are spending, $58 on a probiotic that they probably could have gotten for $20 if it didn't say Menno Belly on it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you remember back, Kim, when you and I were creating our own, we had decided we were going to create our own program to help give women all the education they needed regarding menopause. And so what obviously you do as women who have never really been in business is we're like, we have to do market research. We've got to look and see what's out there. Because if something's out there and it's great, like good, check, we're done.
Yeah.
And how many programs did we find? Yeah. So I encourage people to look and say, but there were programs, but who's running the program? And so a lot of times you're like, oh, Dr. Stacy, she knows Dr. Stacy, she must know. She's a doctor. And then you research them because, you go down the rabbit hole and Dr. Stacy has a PhD in
literature
communications. And you're like, Miss Stacy, that's misleading. And I'm a big believer in like, I want everyone to come on board and help to support women and like coaches. There's tons of like these programs where they have menopause coaches. Coaching is great. I love coaching, but I want to make sure, I hope that as they're coaching these women, they're really also encouraging them to get in the care of a menopause specialist as a part of the big picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's looking and saying so if it's a program, who designed this program, get to know a little bit more about them, and do they have something to sell you?
It's interesting too. We had talked about this earlier. Sometimes an advertisement will have a quiz. Right?
Yes,
questionnaire.
yes.
So, in theory, you are supposed to answer these particular questions, and then it will lead you to the appropriate product to solve whatever problem you have identified. So I was messing around with it one time, being the little shit disturber that I can be. And I put myself in as a 35-year-old, regular cycles, just curious about paying attention to my menopause journey in the future. So I put that in, and then I put myself in. My own age and where I am, right? Exactly me. And so it did its thing, and it gave me the exact same recommendations for product purchases. And I'm like, okay, this is not legit, right? It is not legitimate because there's no comparison between what I actually put in and yeah. So anyways, be aware. The other thing too, which I did not know this, is that I love AI, me, I love my ChatGPT. However, there are people that are using AI to create things with sort of falsehood people.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, so they might
It looks like Dr. Whoever is sponsoring this, but it's really just they're posting her picture and a quote.
Yes.
And I think that the big creators that have that happen to them really have an obligation to go forward and get those things taken down.
And I don't know if there's any ramifications to any of it.
But I say to women, you don't have to spend a fortune on anything that you're doing. Supplements can be a great part of your regimen, but you want to make sure they're high quality, third-party tested. Like how often, because they're not FDA regulated.
Nope.
So you can, go out and they did a study where they looked at like berberine, for example, and they took a whole bunch of like berberine randomly off the shelf. And I think it was some ridiculous number, like 85% of them had no berberine in them whatsoever.
Yeah.
So what are you paying for?
What about the issue of a a grifter, we'll call them now a grifter,
Yeah.
recommending or suggesting that they can come to the root
Oh my
cause of the
gosh,
problem,
don't even get
right?
me started. Yes, run. Run if there is somebody promising that they are going to get to the root cause of your menopause. Because guess what, ladies?
It's
your
hormones.
So I am a believer, as somebody who did very traditional medicine for a very long time, somebody who did some integrative, more holistic medicine, I do believe that there is a lot to be said, and especially those of us who've been sort of maybe harmed by the traditional medicine system. We haven't been taken seriously. There's a lot of women who are in that category. They've been burned. So there's a lot of validity to saying, instead of treating your heartburn, can we look at why you might be having it, right? And there's a lot to be said for that. And more holistic or integrative medicine tends to look at that. That's not problematic. But when it comes to menopause in particular, if somebody is saying to you, hey, we're going to get to the root cause, I'm going to order you $1,000 worth of tests that you don't need, right? And then put you on 47 supplements, yeah, your wallet will be empty. You might feel a little better initially, especially if you had some vitamin deficiencies. But a lot of times, you don't need all of that.
No.
And so I do say run if somebody says root cause of menopause, because we know what the root cause is.
Yeah. I also get skeptical, like you said, too, who's presenting the information.
Right.
And if the person presenting the information is not relevant to the space of menopause, I get nervous, if you know what I mean. Like, not to be gender biased, because that's not exactly my intention. But if it's someone who has sort of no business in that space, then I get really skeptical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're, I don't know, like a gym bro and you've been really pumping iron and building beautiful muscles, and I'm great. I love that. Yeah. But then if you start like touting supplements to improve hot flashes, I'm going to get a little skeptical. Like, you do great in your area. I don't know.
Yeah, no, so, I'm with you on that. So, I think it's just important that no matter what, you're in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing, who's aware, who's using evidence-based medicine and has good credentials after their name to be able to give you support and help you sift through, because we're overwhelmed as providers with all of the information coming in. I can only imagine how it feels to sit at home, hot flashing, angry, tired, and try to sift through it.
Yeah.
We're going to click add to cart every time when we're in that space.
Yeah.
So we are just here to help you ladies avoid add to cart, avoid disappointment. We'd rather have you take that money and go take a beautiful yoga class for yourself.
Or spend a little extra on, I don't know, a food that you think is not outside, that isn't in your budget. Like, spend it on something that's really more valuable to you. So I'm going to wrap us up. Thank you again, ladies, for joining in. I hope you found this helpful. Again, we love comments. We love you sharing us with your friends. We are here to support you. We are two health professionals whose only agenda is to provide evidence-based content. That's our purpose in the world. So, join in our next podcast. I promise that it's going to be equally scintillating. And again,
thank you. It's an honor to be with you.
It is an honor to be with you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for spending time with Vicki and I today on Fated to Fabulous, where midlife is just the beginning of your boldest chapter yet. If you got something out of today's episode, we'd love it if you'd share it with a friend and leave a review. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking for more support, inspiration, or sisterhood, come join us at fatedtofabulous.biz, because you were never meant to do midlife alone. Until next time, stay fabulous.